Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Behind Your Voice. And today we are going to be going behind the voice of Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village because I'm joined by Maggie Robertson. Yay! Thank you so much for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. Also, give yourself a pat on the back. You said her name correctly.
Oh,
Usually, interviewers have to ask beforehand, "Hey, how do you say her name? Hey, how do you say this?" And you did not even hesitate. You got it right.
I knew it. That's an
Well done.
accomplishment.
Gold star for the day.
Well, well, Ethan Winters. You escaped my little brother's idiot games, did you? Let's see how special you are.
It's been what, more than 1 year for Resident Evil Village been out, and everybody loved it so much. Obviously, your character way much more. What do you think now after more than a year with Resident Evil Village?
First of all, it's really weird to think that it's been more than a year. Close to 2 years.
Yeah.
What is time? No, more than two. No, close to 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is bananas because it still very much feels recent and very viscerally right in front of me. All of this stuff that's been happening. There's absolutely no aspect of my life that has not been changed or altered by the release of this game and the release of this character. So it has been a completely transformative process for me in every single way. It's been crazy and so fun to see the reception that she's gotten. I think that's always the goal when you're an actor. You want your work to reach people. You want your work to have an impact. And so the fact that I'm able to have that when I'm still relatively at the beginning of my career is really that's a privilege, and I don't take that for granted. I feel very, very lucky and grateful.
Yeah, I am so happy that your first role in a video game got such a huge hype and such a huge recognition. Everybody, you know it. Everybody just went bananas on Lady Dimitrescu, and with so many crazy fan arts of all types, of all kinds are out there. So it's crazy to see that. Do you still get reached out by fans about like the thirst comments and wanting to step on you or something?
Oh, oh yes. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Yes, every day. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime ever. I think that will always forever onwards be a part of my actor journey. The Lady Dimitrescu stands will always be behind me in that way, which is kind of cool to feel like you have a group of people that are invested enough in you and interested enough in you and your work to follow your career and to be a fan of you across all of the work that you do. I'm still gonna be Lady Dimitrescu
Yeah.
first and foremost in their mind, but it's really powerful to feel like you have that community that's going to follow you wherever you go and support you in whatever new works you take on. Quick point about the fan art, just to give a shout out to all of the talented fans out there. I have said this before in interviews, but I'm going to say it again because me. Even before I achieved this level of success or notoriety or whatever, when I was getting together with my friends, I've been a huge nerd for a long time, and my friends and I would get together and we'd create what we called an artistic bucket list of
Ooh.
things that we just would love to have happen in our careers. Another one of them for me is to get into a food fight for some sort of project. I would love to do an on-camera food fight. So manifesting for 2023 on-camera food fight. But some of the major ones for me were um, playing a character that takes me to Comic Cons, playing a character that inspires fan art and cosplays.
Oh yeah.
I've been able to achieve all of those things with this one role. And my friend actually, right after the game came out, she had to sit me down and she was like, Maggie, you realize that you get to check those off now. You have them. You did it. You reached your goal. You got what you wanted. And that's a really cool feeling. So big shout out to everyone who's created art, who's shown me a cosplay, who's written short form narratives about Lady D or House Dimitrescu. It's so cool. It's so gratifying. Your artistry inspires me as well. So there.
Yeah, that it's so cool to see all this amazing amount of art and amazing amount of stories, as you said. So people are so connected to Lady D, and it's incredible to see that. Well, I know that we had a DLC for Resident Evil Village. You did you like had to re or record additional lines during the DLC was been made, or was it when Village was already been shot?
Yeah, we came back in for additional sessions. I personally, other people are not the same as me, but I personally did not come back in to do additional performance capture. I was just in the VO booth
Hmm.
doing more lines, but super cool to see Lady D in action, to get to
Yes.
play as Lady D. And what I love about the DLC, I was very grateful I had an opportunity to meet a lot of the dev team at San Diego Comic Con this year. And it was just so clear that there's this deep love and appreciation for this character. They're having a lot of fun with her in the DLC, I feel.
Yeah.
The fact that her, all of the little nuances, her lipstick increases her thrill meter, the drinking sanguine virginis helps boost her health, throwing chairs, all of those things are so fun. And she is extra, God bless, much love, but she's dramatic, and we're leaning into the drama, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, the throwing chair one was really funny for me. I was like, it was in the game, the village, and now she's doing it. You can do it. It's like this is fun. This is so cool.
Yes. Throwing a table was also on my bucket list, and I got to do that as Lady D in the first iteration. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in heaven. I could record more takes of this all day. You just tell me when. Otherwise, I'll keep going.
To hell with the ceremony! That man will pay for what he's done.
Well, speaking of those scenes, do you have like a favorite Lady D scene that you remember of?
All of them. No, I'm going to answer your question. It feels like a little bit of a cop out now that I've already talked about it, but the throwing the table scene was so fun for me. Also, a lot of pressure because I was by myself in that entire cutscene. And so the weight of carrying that scene was very much present in my preparation. And then just getting to have kind of the fun of creative authorship over crafting that scene and making it into what I wanted it to be, and working with our cinematics director, Steve Kniebly, to really fine tune it. He's a great director and great working with actors because he allows us to come in with our ideas and is really open to that, to creating that kind of collaborative process between actors and the director and the behind the scenes people. And then what he does is really just fine tune it and make sure it really sits in the pocket. So I valued working with him on that scene. He actually came up to me. I was kind of sitting at the table thinking, going over my lines and thinking about what I was doing. And he just came up and leaned on the table and was like, so what are you doing with this scene? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, it's on me. It's my turn now. I've got this. Ready, go.
Oh my.
So that was kind of fun, and obviously loved throwing the table. She is a woman of such emotional extremes, so it's very fun as an actor to be able to delve into those emotional extremes and go from one to the other and make those changes as quick as can be. She has a lot of rage
A lot of rage.
internally, a lot of untapped rage internally, and then the second she switches it on, it has to feel really violent and palpable. You are in danger when she taps into that. And you feel the potential for danger even when she's not fully tapped into her rage. You always have to feel that potential for badassery. So that was a really fun one to do. I also, you know what? I'm a sucker for the coming together scenes and
Oh,
everything, even like Lord of the Rings. The first movie is my favorite because I love to see the team come together. So
yeah.
I really loved the first cathedral scene. Filming that in particular, that was my first time meeting everyone. And so it was just very nice to get a sense of who everyone was, what they're bringing to the character, and then how their performances then inform my performance and how Lady Dimitrescu relates to XYZ Heisenberg in particular. Um, it was very fun to finally be able to see that in person and be like, oh my God. Oh, she hates that about him. Oh, let's dive into that. That's so fun. So had a blast doing that as well.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that scene. I really love that scene because you get to know everyone, and then like especially Lady D and Heisenberg, their conversations are just so fun to listen to. I'm like, you guys just go on. I'm just gonna sit here, just keep on going. I wish that Ethan would have just sat there. Just you can continue.
keep going.
Keep
Don't end
going.
the scene.
Yeah, don't.
No, all the family dynamics are so interesting and very human too. Even though we have these villainous, monstrous characters, the internal family bickering
Yeah.
really humanizes them and is comical. It's something we all relate to. So you have this really heightened, dramatic, intense world, but then you have this kind of funny familial dynamic in play as well. And so the contrast, the dichotomy between those two things is really amusing.
Quiet now, child. Adults are talking.
I'm the child. You're the one who's arguing with Miranda's decision.
You wouldn't know responsibility if it was welded
Oh,
to
keep growing. One day your head might actually fit your ego.
You mentioned about how you have like you got so much success and recognition because of this game, but I know that with kind of like growth and recognition, you have lots more interaction in social media. With lots more interaction, you also have a lot more hate coming towards you. How do you handle that amount of hate? Because I know like people just for some reason are weird and just will just throw hate comments. So how do you handle all of that?
Oh, this is the $1,000,000 question. I feel like I and everyone on social media is still navigating what that looks like for them and how to put boundaries in place for yourself that protect your mental health. This is forever the conversation around social media is how to protect your mental health. I'm not naturally a person that feels very well suited for social media. So even the positive engagement was a definite adjustment for me. I don't like to be very visible, ironically. And so now I'm in a position where I'm incredibly visible, where the things that I say and do matter and have an immediate effect on the people in my communities. In terms of hate speech, hate speech is different. I'm not going to say that because that doesn't apply to me. In terms of negative comments on social media, first of all, there's some, but also there's not that much. I feel like there could be way more. So I'm very grateful for that. And then the fans that are my true diehard fans, they are so generous in that they really work hard to protect me. And they will go out there and be like, hey, we don't say that. Hey, we're not going to engage in that. Thanks so much. Bye.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky that my community is one that is incredibly generous and protective of me and loving. That's certainly an attitude that I try to promote within my social media base and my social media community is just a sense of love and acceptance that you're able to come as you are. This is a judgment-free zone. Nobody's going to be turned away unless you are engaging in hate speech.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that is a core part of my value system is acceptance and love and non-judgment. Human beings are complicated. And if we're able to remain open to connection and open to engaging with people who maybe aren't exactly the same as us, we as individuals will become better human beings. And also we as a society will become better and more loving.
That's well said. That's well
said. Did that answer your question? I don't know. I feel like I went on a tangent. I got wholesome.
That's
I feel
amazing.
weird about getting wholesome. I'm not naturally a wholesome person, but we went there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. We need to be wholesome sometimes. It's really cool. I like how your community is so positive because, interacting with that community is really cool and people really love what you've done so far and what you're doing even right now. Like I know that you have been part of some other projects, video game projects, and what was it going back to like the motion capture suits and getting them on again after the first time?
They're so fun. They're so fun. And what I love about motion capture is that every project is different. So every time I go into the volume, I'm learning something new, or I'm having to tailor my performances to a new set of technological circumstances that I'm having to understand. And I love that because I always love new challenges. And that was part of the lightning bolt moment for me that came when I was in the volume for the very first time doing Resident Evil. The volume, by the way, is what we call the space where you shoot performance capture and motion capture. But I really had an instant connection when I was working on Resident Evil. It felt simultaneously very familiar because it taps into a lot of my theater background, but it also was brand new and I loved the challenge of it. And so I love that mocap continues to offer me those new challenges that I'm always having to adapt, that I'm always having to improve. So I really love it. And I also love, mostly with motion capture specifically, I feel like it really taps into the root of why we as actors wanted to become actors in the first place. It is all about imagination. It is
Yeah.
all about crafting that sense of play and flexibility and versatility. You never know what's going to be thrown at you. You're also in a big open room with no set, no costumes, no makeup, no hair, no props. So you have to rely on your imagination to create the world around you and to endow the world as reality, to make the stakes high enough that it feels real, not only to you, the performer, but also to the audience.
Yeah.
And I think it's a misconception to think that motion capture, you can kind of phone it in. I don't think you can do that at all. I think the skeleton, the data that they're pulling from your skeleton, if you're not having the circumstances live and sit in your body, it's not going to read to audiences and we're not going to believe you. So
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite challenging. You can't get away with half-assing. You have to be invested 100% of the time. So I like that too.
That's cool. Yeah, you're completely right. If people don't put everything to it, I think people will notice that it's not, that they're not giving everything to that particular role or whatever they're shooting. So, and it's very important. Like I know a lot of people talk about how motion capturing is like it's just acting, it's just voiceovers. It's like it's not. It's There's much more. It's literally you're performing. It's
Even
literally you're acting.
voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah, even voiceover. It's not just voiceover.
Yeah.
It is acting. And especially, I think I've had, maybe it's just me, but when I'm in the VO booth, I'm incredibly physical. I'm getting it in my body to the point where then sometimes they have to remind me, like, hey, Mags, you still have to be on your microphone because I'm over here like doing crazy stuff. I'm making it so physical because that's how that your body and your voice, they're the same.
Yeah.
They're the same. The voice is literally in your body, so you can't separate them. So especially, this is another pro tip, when you're warming up your voice, warm up your body. Get in your body, open up your hips, open up your spine. That's all the same mechanism. They're all feeding into each other. So you can't really separate them. It's not just acting from here.
Yeah.
You have to act with your heart. You have to act with your gut, with your hips, which is a really emotionally receptive area. So it's not mutually exclusive. It is all acting. It is a misconception to try to compartmentalize those things and label them as just this, just that. It's all acting. You just have to be a good actor.
Yeah. That's true. Everything is acting, and with good actors, it is everything just goes very well. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump into some questions that people in the community had asked.
Yeah.
So Selvin Gomes asked about what is your most thirst fan email or compliment that you got from the game Resident Evil.
I was asked to voice Lady D in a porno. That's pretty thirsty. I knew it.
I knew it.
I said no. So that's probably the one.
I mean, I think that is something that I was very much expecting. Like, this must have happened for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's also a legality thing. It's not like it's not dependent on what I want or don't want. It's a
yeah.
legality thing. I don't own this character. I'd have to get it approved by Capcom. I don't think Capcom's going to approve me voicing Lady D
Oh
in a
gosh.
porno. So,
Oh my God, that would be so hilarious. Capcom, excuse me, what? No, that is not what
excuse
we
me.
do. The next question is from Afroz Ahmed, who talks about dealing with creepy fans who go across the limit.
I mean, I think this taps into what we've already touched on a little bit. I'm very lucky to have supportive fans in my corner who do a lot of that for me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't mention this before when we were talking about boundaries, but I have a lot of boundaries around social media. So oftentimes I'm using third party systems to engage in social media rather than going directly to the apps.
Okay.
That just allows me to have a little bit of space and distance to look at things or filter what I'm looking at so that I'm not necessarily even seeing the stuff that is problematic. Um, it's also just a healthy dose of I'm going to ignore it because it's just not going to serve me to allow that to enter into my emotional consciousness. Look at me using big woo woo words. It doesn't serve me to allow that into my internal psyche. So I just kind of let it go. And that I think is a level of resilience that I've cultivated specifically through acting and the process of trying to be a professional actor. You're always facing rejection. You are always receiving criticism about your work. It is vital to cultivate that ability, that resiliency and that ability to let something go. If it was a negative thing, if your audition went horribly, let it go and move on to the next thing that you're going to smash instead. So I think all of that feeds in.
Yeah, that's completely true.
And humor. I use humor a lot, if you can't tell. I'm very sarcastic.
I
So
love it.
all of that, it's like, yeah, okay.
Okay, okay.
Sure.
Good job.
Okay, my guy, let's go. Okay.
Oh man, that's it. That's great. The Caldinator asked if you have any dating advice from men.
For men? From men?
For men.
What? For men? Dating advice for men? Huh. Don't be a dick. I don't know.
You got it right here, guys.
Listening. Clip that. Listening skills are huge. I think often it's a misconception. I know this from the men in my life, whether it's a romantic relationship or not. Oftentimes there's a tendency to want to try to solve the problem for me. I'm not asking you to solve the problem. I'm just asking you to listen. I know how to solve the problem. I'm a strong, capable, independent, smart woman.
Yeah.
I know how to get my shit done. I just want to complain about it.
Just listen, Jesus. That's what I ask.
Just listen. Don't be a dick and just listen. Oh,
the two biggest recipes that people don't understand for some reason. Oh man.
No, lots of love. Lots of love.
Yeah.
Said with love.
Oh, for sure. Abdo asked if you have a favorite Resident Evil character.
That's not me.
That's not
I love Moreau.
Oh wow.
I love him so much. He's just so pathetic. Said with love. He's just so pathetic, and it just makes me want to kind of swaddle him and give him lots of love and pet him and just make him feel appreciated.
Yeah. I feel bad for him.
So that's that.
Times. I really feel like, oh my God, don't have to go through this. Crazy.
And just like, oh no, that's it. Moreau, he's just so sad, but lovable and sad. And talk about amazing acting. Oh my gosh, I would not feel this way about him if it was not living in Jesse's body. If
Mm.
he was not totally giving 100%, and that was one thing in the volume that it was like, oh my gosh, dude, you are giving 110% every single take. So inspiring. Mwah.
Yeah, so lovely. I really felt for him many times. I'm like, man, if you were just not like a monster, like if you're not going into that evil side, you really don't. Overall, you just don't deserve all of this. Like you just deserve a lot of hugs. Like he was doing everything. I just
He tries his best. He tries so hard.
yeah, I just try so hard, man.
He
Well,
tries so.
well, there's one last question. Ruhi asks, do you like cosplaying your character?
I don't know if I've ever done a full on cosplay. I've done kind of cosplay light things where I get to do my own interpretation and
Hmm.
spin
Yeah.
on this character, and that's kind of fun. Um, I don't do it all the time, but it was super fun. I had a great time. I did a photo shoot with it. You'll see those photos places, and I liked
Yeah.
it. I put her in a power suit because she's a powerful lady.
That's
So I
true.
really like seeing cosplays that are fully in alignment with the actual depiction of the character from the game, trying to be as realistic as possible. I also love cosplays that are just like, here's my Lady D. I don't
Mm,
have to necessarily look like her, sound like her. I don't have to be as tall as her, but I'm going to just embody some element of her personality and allow that to shine through me, some element of her that I really connect with and allow that to come through. So I think all of that is really cool as well.
yeah. I love every single cosplay that people do. It's so crazy. And especially if anything, I mean, if I I would probably not be able to, do it, but if at all try, I probably would just wear a hat. And I love that big hat that goes all the way around.
The hat is everything. It's amazing how the second you put that on, you're like, oh my gosh, am I Lady D? It just adds so much to the character. And certainly in my acting part of it, the second I was shown her image,
Mm.
seeing that hat in the character render, instantly I had 10 new ideas. And what I love about Lady D, especially the way Capcom has designed her, so big kudos to them, is that visually she is such a character. She screams character and personality just by looking at her. She doesn't even have to open her mouth, and you have such a clear concept of who this person is. And so that was really fun for me as an actor to be like, oh my gosh, seeing her, I know exactly who she is. I have so many ideas to play with. The hat, this kind of swooping motion of her hat
Yeah.
allowed me to play with curves and find her sensuality. Loved that. Mm.
Love that. So cool. Well, I'm gonna end with one last question. I would love to know if you're working on any future projects that you can talk about, or any future projects just in general.
I love that caveat, the if you can talk about it, because the big joke of video game actors specifically is I can't talk about it. I'm under NDA. So definitely have some more projects coming up in the future that I'm not able to talk about yet. But most recently, I was in God of War Ragnarok. That was a dream come true.
Hell
That was
yeah.
something even when I first got video games, because I'm such a huge fantasy geek. I loved the world that God of War created. And I was like, oh man, it'd be so cool to be in that game. And then I was, and that was super cool. And didn't have any idea that I booked that I was in God of War until I showed up for the session. And they were like, by the way, this is God of War. And I was like,
Oh,
cool. Freaking out internally, but externally,
um,
yes,
yes,
fascinating.
I'm fine.
Professional actor, yes. So that was a really fun experience for me, and also a really great collaborative experience. The dev team on that was super top notch. Also, Back for Blood, the most recent
Yeah.
River of Blood expansion. I'm the mother of worms. I'm a little cult leader. She's super gross and creepy, and had
Yes.
so much fun. Had so much fun doing that. The whole team was amazing. I feel very lucky to kind of consistently, I'm realizing, be working with teams that really value collaboration and value my input as an actor and as a creator myself. And so that was really fun to feel like we were able to really play with the Mother of Worms and find her vocal profile together, make her creepy, make her weird, doing lots of different takes, always open to ideas. So that was awesome. In terms of motion capture, I worked on Rogue Company. Oh, Smite.
Oh,
Smite's another game that I
yeah.
voiced a character in. I know my work. I know my body of work. So God of War, Smite, Back for Blood. In terms of motion capture, we've got Marvel's Midnight Suns, which just came out. I did a mocap for a variety of characters there, and that was so fun. I got to play superheroes and I got to play villains, and
Yay.
I was and then Rogue Company, I also mocapped Runway in that. So that
Yeah.
was another great experience for me.
Wow. It's so cool to
I'm
see
here.
you.
I'm on the feed. I'm in gaming. You're going to see me in more games, I promise.
Yes, it's so cool to see you like in so many games. I'm so happy. Like I'm so excited to see what you're working on next. I cannot wait to see that. I just love everything that you'll be doing. So again, I would say thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining, for talking to me about Resident Evil and Thirst comments. But thank you so much for doing this. It's
LOL.
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having me. Oh, thank you so much. You were great to talk to, and I'm so grateful to be here and always happy to engage with my fans and my community. And
I love
wow,
that.
I got awkward at the end. I hate taking myself seriously. Well, here we are.
I am the same guy. I can't. It's hard. I don't
Good,
know how you do that.
good.
Like, oh, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a dream come true for me. So it's like really blew my mind when I got to like it's happening in 2 days. Oh my God, it's so cool. So I can't thank you enough for you even saying yes to this. So it's been super incredible.
Of course. No, you are a delight to talk to. Your energy is so infectious, and you asked really great questions, so can't complain.